Welcome to The New Monks. This podcast is dedicated to those of us on the journey of evolution. Through these episodes, we will dive into the lives of individual people and discover what they have learned and how they have handled their growth. Hello and welcome back to the New Monks podcast. I am Jay Muller, your host. I'm an artist and you can find me via the links below. And in episode 17, I'm talking to Georgie, who I met 2 months ago, and we really connected and just didn't stop talking. So happy that we're here. She's here on this episode sharing her story with us, and she is such an explorer of life, and her whole journey has just been such an exploration of really finding truth and what that means for her. And we talk about her near-death experience that she had at the age of 8 and her traumatic relationship in her teenage years with a narcissist, and then exploring so many different spiritual paths, traditions, teachings, and then just coming all the way back to herself. We touch on water a little bit, but I know she has so much to share about water, magic, codes, downloads, all of it. So follow her as well via the links in the episode notes, because there's so much more that she's got to share. So I really hope that you enjoy this episode. It's quite a long one, but you know there's a lot of juice in there, so stick through. Blessings. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Let's run the show. Let's run and go.
No, come, we're ready.
Okay,
So-
we're ready. I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so basically how we start normally is just check in, just take a few deep breaths in and out.
Can I breathe the whole podcast? Feels so good.
Yeah, it's good
I love it.
tone to start. So yeah, and then just tell us how you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling amazing. I'm afraid of camera, but that's just a little detail.
Just a minor detail.
Just a minor detail. Otherwise, it's all fantastic.
Anything else on the amazing?
Well, babe, when you're in the amazingness, everything else is amazing. You know, the amazing is intertwined with the amazing. So,
But how do you get into the amazingness?
wow, it requires a lot of work, a lot of refinement, and radical honesty. I believe that probably the biggest changes I had in my life were the ones when I was incredibly honest with myself.
Yeah.
Like really looking at what I want and what I don't want, and what is mine and what is not mine, and make sure that I'm really clear about all these things. So it was just, and it is a journey in search of the truth, the deepest truth, and that sometimes looks like my world is crumbling and everything that I know is disappearing and is changing form. But yeah, to find this amazingness, I think involves a incredible amount of liberation. Yeah, probably the liberation brings this feeling of feeling amazing. So breaking through and breaking out from those, it's like an internal imaginary prison, or
Literally.
yeah.
I like it that you called it the journey of truth. But so I met you was it 2 months ago maybe?
Yeah, 2 months ago.
So I don't actually know that much about your story
Oh gosh.
as Georgie.
Well, I don't even know if I remember the whole story, because I think I died so many times in this lifetime, and I kind of left behind those previous identities so many times that it's really difficult for me to even remember. Obviously I do have my childhood memories when I remember being really in tune with what I call the source, when I had this like very straightforward deep connection with nature and this unified field of consciousness that was really leading me, and I had this deep sense of trust that I belong, that I'm supposed to be alive and I'm supposed to enjoy life and I'm protected and I'm loved, and then shit happened, life happened, and naturally all the other bits that are unpleasant in life started to come, and it kind of, that feeling of feeling connected and being connected completely disappeared. So it was an act of rebellion that I embarked on to kind of like fight with life, and why is this happening, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but now that I look back, it had to happen to be able to see the truth, I feel like the way for me to recognize the truth is to be in the truth, and then to recognize the illusion also I have to be in the illusion. I have to experiment and experience the illusion so deeply and intensely and all over again to recognize there is a pattern, there's a cycle.
There's something going on here.
Something's off. So I think it all started when I was 8. I had a near-death experience.
Oh, damn, you told me about this, but we haven't spoken about it.
I drowned pretty much. I love the sea, so when I was little, since I was a little child.
This is bad because Muti, who I interviewed, same thing.
Oh wow! In water?
Yeah.
Wow, this is wild.
Yeah, that's wild.
Oh, we need to speak to him about it.
Yeah, you definitely do.
So that was...
What happened?
I was just swimming, and I was really brave, really courageous. My dad taught me how to swim. I mean, not necessarily swim because I was 8, I wasn't really like a proper swimmer, but I was just like, I was obsessed with water. I remember that whenever it was raining or outside in the garden or anywhere I could find any water, literally I was like putting water on me during the summer, hot days, like I was obsessed with it. And I was doing this bit, I was spinning in water. I love to do these like circles, like when I kind of like do these like dolphin moves. So a wave came and took me back under, and then a second wave came and took me back under. And I don't know how many waves came after that, but what happened, it was that I think I completely lost my oxygen. I finished my oxygen resource, and it was this feeling of like, I just can't find it. I can't fight this, so I have to let it go. I wasn't able to, and because of the spinning thing that was happening, I didn't know which way to go, so I was very lost. So I was like, I'm just lost. I don't know where should I go, and I had no power, and I was like, I'm just gonna let it be. So I kind of surrendered. I'm like, not kind of, I totally surrendered to it, and I was like, there's nothing I can do. So I started to go down and down and down.
No.
And I think I just passed out somehow. I remember it was this like really deep sense of peace, and this feeling of absolute void. It felt like there was nothing there, like nothing. It was just peace and nothing. And my mom found me. She looked for me, and she literally grabbed me from my hair, apparently took me out. And I remember when I was already on the shore and I was like spitting the water and I was like coughing. I was like, oh, what happened? And everybody was like panicking around me, and I was like, well, I'm fine, I want to go back into the water.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't actually fully understood then what happened.
Yes.
And after that, I started to have a lot of dreams.
No.
Like, all sorts of dreams of interstellar travels, like all sorts of things, and water was like a main recurring
I love it.
thing that was always happening in my dreams.
That's so crazy.
And like I got really afraid of it. Like after that, I wasn't able to swim unless I could see the bottom. So even if it was like a pool or the sea, like I can't really swim unless I can see it. You know, it's this fear of the unknown, or like fear of dying, or God knows what it is. But I still love the water so much. And then, yeah, I remember I was like a really happy child, like really free, absolutely free. I was just an absolute rebel, and I couldn't, you know, obey in any way, shape, or form.
And you couldn't obey, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. I remember I was 12, and I studied. Obviously, I was born and raised in Romania, so we had religion classes in school. Can you believe it? Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Really, you do? Yeah. I thought like we're the only ones.
So it's quite funny, isn't it?
It's a funny one. Yeah. And then we had a priest coming in, so we didn't have a teacher for those classes. We had a priest coming in.
Oh, wow.
So I remember I was 12 and I started to read the Bible, and obviously I started to go with the New Testament. I didn't want to the first bit, but anyways, I remember like reading about Genesis, or like the Adam and Eve story, and then Cain and Abel, like they had these two children, and one brother killed the other brother, and then I was like asking questions. I put a question down on a paper. I was like, well, if them two had two children, which were both boys, and one died, and then they had a lot of other children after, how did that happen? Or there were like all sorts of
things that didn't make sense.
Things that didn't really make sense. So I remember going with these pages of questions to the priest, and they couldn't answer. Up to the point they want to kick me out of the school because I was really rebellious. I was like, this doesn't make sense to me,
Oh, that's crazy.
I could feel like massive oppression with that, and I was like, it's ridiculous. Why?
Yeah, and why don't you have the answers?
Why you don't have the answers? Why are you teaching me something and you're just telling me you have to believe it, don't question it? I was
or
like,
get out of the school.
Mate, I'm just gonna question everything, and I still question everything, and I question myself. Firstly and foremost, I always question myself. And no matter what decision I take, or no matter what my feeling is about something, I always even question that. Even if I'm 100% sure I'm in my absolute truth, I still question it, just to make sure. And I love to be I love when people are going against my belief systems or my opinions, and they're always like, bring me objectives. I love it. I'm like, bring it on, bring me the challenge. I love the challenge, because there's one way or the other. One, I might get to the conclusion that, you could be right, like, okay, so there's something I don't see, it's in my blind spot. Or I get closer and even deeper into my truth, So yeah, it started with that. And then I remember having a very traumatic relationship. It was when I was 15 with this amazing, gorgeous man. He was absolutely
my word,
beautiful. He was actually a model kind of thing, and he was really good at chess and mathematics. He was like this brilliant mind, very charming. All women, all girls. He was 3 years older than me, almost 4. He was quite a considerable difference. But anyways, I remember all the girls that were like, oh my god, he's so amazing, he's so beautiful. And I was like, oh, whatever, you be with him if you want to, because he's a nutter, he's hard work. So we started to have this like classic narcissist savior relationship. So he was an absolute manipulative narcissist, and I was the person trying to fix him and save him and have the patience with him. Yeah. And it went for years. So that was another layer of suppression, because obviously a narcissist will stop. Yeah, he was stopping me from going out and like meeting friends and getting dressed up and looking pretty. He was like, oh, well, you don't need this stuff, like you don't have to do this. And he was very manipulative, like always inserting this idea that everybody was my enemy, because narcissists, they do see everybody as their enemies. So I was like super open and like super free and happy. I was like, oh no, they've got an agenda, there's something behind that, no, all this kind of stuff. And because I just didn't want to have the hustle, I kind of let it happen, I allowed this whole situation to happen, and just like not have hustle with him. But obviously that can't go on forever. So it came one day when I realized that I was just giving him my power.
Oof.
Thinking that he has the power and I couldn't see my power, you know.
Dude, this is so big. Like, it's so big. And in relationships as well.
Yeah.
Like, constantly seeking approval from somebody else.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a huge lesson for all of us.
It is, and because he was beautiful and smart, and he was putting me down a lot, suppressing me a lot, saying like, oh, you know, your social skills are not great, and you know, you're not that cool, and you know, you have to whatever. He was like literally making me very small. So he also had this like grandeur, like he's massive, amazing, shubanzing, you know, human. And I was just, and I was asking, he was like, well, if you have so many things that you don't like about me, why? But he was telling me that is my love, because what I was really good at was like really having the patience and the love.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and that's what he wanted. And that's what he didn't have.
I feel like that those two types of people can easily find their way to each other because of that. Yeah.
But obviously it was very toxic.
Yeah.
It was extremely
How
toxic.
long did that last?
He went for a couple of good years. The good part was like he was overseas, so we weren't living together. So it was more like a distance.
But still.
Kind of thing. It was horrendous, like horrible, like calling me all the time, messaging me all the time. Where are you? What are you doing now? All this kind of like persecutor, victim kind of thing. And then one day I remember I was just sitting there. So this happened, I think it was like 1920, and I was just like sitting on this couch.
1920?
Yeah, I went for a couple of years. Huh? I was 20 years old.
Oh, sorry. I was like,
not in 1920. I wish. But we'll get to the eternal part.
I know, that's what I was like, is she talking about?
I'm talking about future now. So I was just like sitting there and I was like, how can I get out of here, you know, how can I escape this? Because he was also saying that if I break up with him, he's going to do something really crazy, and you know, he's going to hurt me, or he's going to hurt himself, or all these things. And I was like, well, definitely I don't want to live like this anymore. And if worst comes to worst, then that will be it. You know, whatever it takes for me to get out of this situation, then I'll do it. And I just decided to actually start living my life. So I went one day and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna go to this massage therapy course, and I started to study massage therapy and reflexology. I was already at the university. I applied for biology, don't know why, but I was like, that's it, that's what I want to do. And the more I was taking my power back, the less he would upset me, and the less he would have like kind of calming down and all this kind of things. And one day I was like, okay, so basically all this image that he was expressing, it was an illusion, it was fake, you know. And also I was deluded, thinking that he was in his power and he has any power over me. And one day I just packed my bags when he wasn't at home.
So wait, now you were in the same country?
We were living together. We're at university by this point. So this was the first year of us living together.
But he was older, so was he?
Yeah, he was older.
But was he at university?
Yeah, he was. We're both students.
Oh, okay.
So one day I just took my suitcases. I called my mom and I was like, yo, I've got loads of stuff in this flat. I was having loads of things in there. And I was like, I'm just taking my essentials. Come next week and put everything.
Wow, what did your mom say?
She was like, oh my god, it took you a long while, man. My mom was desperate.
Wow.
Oh, she was ecstatic. She was like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. My parents were desperate because he was suppressing me, and I have this amazing personality that wanted to be so expressive and doing amazing things in life. And instead I was like a very suppressed, tired and depressed human being. And I was like, man, this doesn't really go with their ideal of how. And my parents knew me, they knew how they brought me up, you know. I was like happy, I was just happy, and and that was it. And from that point, obviously I went into another relationship, but that's not absolutely relevant. The relevance came when I just started to just question everything. I think I was like 23, 24, and I was studying biology, and not much from this, area of expertise was making sense to me. I used to love genetics, so I was like really into genetics and molecular biology, and I was just learning about all this. But what was very beautiful was I was studying the biology of 7 species. So it was cat, dogs, cows, human beings, and they're like different species. It was part of like the vet university program. So the first 3 years of biology, they were exactly the same ones, the same kind of curriculum that future vet doctors will study. And I was just like studying about this, evolutionary theories and Darwinian things. I'm like, wow, this doesn't make sense to me, like it must be something more to this. And the way they were looking at a being, you go in the lab and then you cut the frog, to know the frog, but actually, do you know the frog? Like it would have been the same as me coming now and trying to cut your head to know you, who is Jess, Do I find the explanation there? There's not, it was so much more. And I was like, okay, so there's something more to this, rather than the physicality, this deeper, and who is making all these things move. Because obviously I was understanding from a biological perspective how flowers will, take the water from the ground and the sun and photosynthesis, and like I was going to produce all sorts of things, but who is doing this?
Yeah.
Who is making my heart pump? So I started to read all sorts of stuff, and I remember I was living in the campus, in the university campus, and everybody was calling me Dexter because I was like obsessed with
Dexter's laboratory.
Exactly. I was like, blah, 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 like going online and reading about EMF and extraterrestrials and what happens on other planets, and then they're drinking, smoking, and partying, and I was like, yo, I discovered this thing, like check this out. And nobody was like they were like, here she is again. The minute of, they used to tell me minute of science. It's like, everybody, now is the 1 minute of science. Georgie is like on the decks. And obviously it wasn't never a minute. And I remember everybody around me, they were smoking, including my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, why are these people like so caught up in this how do you call them, addictions?
Yes.
I was like, everybody's drinking and smoking, and I didn't really had an inclination to do that. And that was the point when I started to question the human psychology, this human psychic. It was like, why everybody looks like they're doing the same thing, and they're always kind of agreeing on the same things, and everybody that's different is kind of expelled from, I was feeling alone and just outside the box. So I couldn't figure out.
Did you get any answers with that?
Yeah, because I started to do the same. So I started smoking, I started drinking, I started partying, I started trying different substances. And I was like, I need to get to the bottom of it. It's like, why is so special? What's so special about all this stuff? So I remember I had like 1 year, maybe 2 years of smoking a lot, drinking coffee a lot, partying a lot. I was really lucky. Most of my friends, they're bartenders. And everywhere I was going, like literally I had free alcohol in all these places, like Georgie. But I was bringing a lot of joy, and I was like dancing and making everybody feel like really comfortable, because it was this always this feeling of we have to look somehow, or we have to present ourselves in a way to be accepted, and I didn't really care about that. I'm like, I'm just going to be whoever I am, and if you like me or not, that's your problem. So, especially my boyfriend, because I didn't understand why he was such an incredibly intelligent person, like brilliant mind, but he had this moments of beautiful connection and stillness, and then he was going to this like really dark places of depression, and he kind of lived his life lifeless, like in a way that he didn't have energy to do things, or he didn't have any motivation. And I was like, oh, isn't that really sad and really paradoxical to witness somebody that has such a brilliant mind and also no desire or no drive to do anything, or not much with that. And I could see that in so many other people, because they're very distracted. They're very distracted by the environment, their friends, their belief systems, their addictions, and all these bits. And I was like, wow, this doesn't really sit well with me.
Especially at university. That's like a big time.
So I was basically doing the experiments, and I remember I had this moment in my life when I thought I'm losing it. I was like, that's it.
I'm losing it.
I remember I was living on in this flat I had 2 flatmates, and it was by the river. Guess what? Always water. Like always the water was around me. So I was getting, outside on the balcony, and literally just in front of the balcony was this beautiful river. And I was sitting there all day, and I was questioning life and the universe and all these kind of things. And I started to just like ramble, and I was really kind of in tune with all sorts of energies. And my friend was like, oh my God, like she's crazy. We need to check her out.
Really?
So we had a very good friend, which is a psychiatrist. So they called this dude. It was like, yo, come here. Georgie is not okay. This was 2012. I remember. This was 2012. I
still in Romania.
Yeah, I was feeling like, oh God, like what is going on?
You can get so lost in that.
I was lost in it. 100%, I was lost in it.
It's crazy, man, but the universe is just so vast and there's so many unanswered questions. It's ridiculous.
And I was reading so much, and it was this like massive stream of information. And then what do I know? It wasn't like direct experience. It was just some information. It was coming from all directions, and I just needed to know. And I was like, oh my God. And the more I was uncovering, the feeling of being lost was expanding. It was like, I don't actually know a thing, and now this is kind of confusing, and there kind of clashes with the other thing, and I was like, what was going to happen now?
I feel like that's happening now as well.
Yes.
COVID.
Yes.
Like all this information, just like, whoa, what's going on?
But guess what? Now, if we look back, how many people that had this awakening in 2012? Loads.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know if you remember your I don't know if you remember your 2012. But my biggest awakening was in 2012. So they took me to the psychiatrist, and then he tested me, he hypnotized me, he did all his stuff. He was like, she's fine, she's totally fine. I think she's just an explorer, she's a seeker. So he gave me a book, and the book was The Power of Now.
As if you also agreed to go to the...
I mean, like, he was our friend, so he was coming over anyways.
Okay.
He was like, no way to escape.
Got it.
But I just wanted to do it. I was like, of course, test me, do whatever, you know?
You said,
absolutely. I somehow...
Yeah.
And the beauty and what I am absolutely grateful and is, oh my God, like my whole life, it was worth living for one thing.
Go on.
The fact that I trust myself 100%. So even in those moments when I was completely lost, absolutely lost.
This is huge, isn't it?
It was this thing, even when I was in the relationship with that like very traumatic.
Yes.
It was, there is a reason.
There's a reason.
There is a reason.
And also, the thing is as well, by that, like even your friend said you need to get checked here, there's something going on here. From the outside, it can look like you're going, but you had some kind of stillness, right?
Yes.
I feel like that's so important, and it's like, how do you find that?
It is. Well,
do you know?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I wish I could have like the formula for that, but what I can say now, where I'm at now, it feels like if I would not have this trust, I could easily lose my mind even in this moment. Knowing what I'm knowing and knowing what I know, because this is huge.
It's huge.
My whole life was this training of trusting myself. So I've been lost so many times, and I hit the rock bottom when I wanted to literally leave this planet, and I was like, I'm just done, I can't do this anymore. I was actually thinking about it, just taking my own life. I
Was this when you were in the relationship?
It was then, yeah. It happened then at that point twice. But also, I just had like little glimpses of this thought.
Yeah.
Until I think it was 2015. I think I had it like, but every single time I was going through this massive shift, this thought would have appeared at some point. It was always coming through, yeah.
Which
at
thought?
some point, this one that I don't want to be here anymore because it's too hard, yeah. So I read that book.
The Power of Now.
I was in this moment of stillness, yeah, that lasted a year. Just for a year, I was just in this still.
Oh my god,
place.
I love that he gave you that book.
Yeah. He was like, forget about everything. This is what he told me, the psychiatrist.
Oh, I love this.
This is your new Bible.
Yeah.
Because I was incredibly agitated. Yeah, I was incredibly agitated. It was this thing inside of me that I was like, oh my god, what's going on? And I needed to learn things and always absorbing information. And then I think he was really tuned in, and he knew what I needed actually.
It sounds,
And also, obviously, the ego journey and making the ego our friend is never easy. Yeah, so that book, I remember reading it, and I was like, this can't be true. I was reading the book, and it really tackles the ego, and I was like, this can't be true. And I really felt like I'm dying, and parts of me, they're dying while reading that book. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. Like, all the things I've done, they're wrong. All the things I think about, they're wrong. Like it was just mind-boggling.
It's so amazing that a book can do that.
Yeah.
And if you haven't read that book, it's freaking good. Check it out.
Exactly. Check that out.
Eckhart Tolle.
It's just, I remember like, it took me months to finish the book. Because it was so dense. It was dense.
You know what's funny as well? I feel like the book, it just repeats. It says the same thing as well, but it needs to, so that you can get it.
Totally.
So it sinks in.
Totally. Sometimes I was going 20 pages, and I was like, I don't think I got that.
Yeah.
I was going back.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, okay. And then maybe some things were landing the next day or in a week. I was reading some information and I wasn't really grasping it, like fully getting it, and then it was like landing after a while. I was like, oh, this is what I was trying to say. I was like, all right.
I think that's really good insight as well, just for what's happening now, because I think it's still the same thing. You can get completely like, oh my god, this information and that and this and what's going on, and it's really unclear what's happening.
Yeah.
But I also have been remembered the power of now. It's just like presence. And if you ask me now, I know that was a level of consciousness, so that level of consciousness, which I didn't have at that moment, needed that book. But for example, I'm not saying, oh my god, I'm so advanced now, I'm enlightened or anything like that, but that specific teaching from that book became literally my everyday life now, all the time. It's a continuum. It's a continuous present moment. The whole point is the book, you don't just read it
and then it ties really well in with this awakening, this set, like a 1,000 awakening I had, because probably how many, sometimes I have awakenings within awakening in the same time, in one day, kind of thing. So that literally shifted my whole thing, and it took me a year to kind of leave the country and come to the UK. So
what do you mean by that?
So I stayed in that present moment for a year, and then I dropped. So there's another dip, because obviously I think it was a non-embodied. It wasn't an embodied. It was just the realization, but it wasn't the actualization.
Intellectual.
Exactly. So it was I got it. Oh yeah, this is the moment, and I'm not gonna judge people and blah 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 blah, and I'm gonna take everything as it is and all this kind of stuff. But that is not actually doing the work. That means
doing
just
the work.
I understood the principle, but it wasn't embodied.
Oh my god, I love it.
And life continuously through things, like, hello, take this, and how like it was impossible for me to sustain that. And obviously there are friends and opinions and relationships happening and like all these dynamics. I was like, okay, so it's not actually that easy. And
no, that's the whole point. It's so simple,
Yeah.
and it's simple to understand, but it's not easy.
Exactly, but that's the refinement process I was telling at the beginning.
Love
You know,
it.
this is the refining the process. You know, to find the 0 point, to find the unique frequency that holds me in that still moment at all times. No matter what comes my way, I'm always able to tap into that center.
So, and if you reflect back previously, you were able to find it, but it was like sometimes.
I think it was a bypassing. It was definitely, but I was kind of inducing the feeling. I was like, I just know that because of the explanations and the teaching from the book, I just kind of knew what was going on. I was recognizing the situation, and I was making a conscious decision to keep my 0 point and to keep my presence. But actually, the charge and the trigger was there, but I was suppressing it.
Yeah, because interesting.
Yeah.
Because they also say like you don't have to do anything.
Yeah. I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing. I wasn't being. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had the dip. I started to work with my dad. By that time, I graduated the second university, so I did business economics, and then I did biology, and then by that time I finished my master degree, and it was just impossible to work with my dad. It was impossible.
What were you doing?
It was my parents. They're like very beautiful human beings, very loving, and my dad always educated me and supported me to really be free and express myself and just go for the things I love, but at the same time within his desires of how I should be and what I should be doing. Yeah, so like you can do everything you want within this lines, you know, like I want you to succeed in that way and be in that way. So they used to put a lot of pressure on me, like loads of pressure. They had their ideal, you know, of how and who I should be and what should I achieve. Very and common. I was completely the opposite, you know. I was the absolute rebel that like, meh, no.
Is that also why you studied biology, maybe?
Yeah. I did business economics because they wanted me to study that, and I did biology because I wanted to do it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I remember my mom, she's like, what are you gonna do with biology? You're gonna live, you're gonna spend your life in a lab, and you're gonna die, and you're gonna maybe a biologist teacher, and you're gonna, you know, I said, Mom, life is not about money, you know, it's about passion, it's about things I want to do and love and stuff like that. But they weren't getting it, but it's fine, you know. I'm glad I did it because now
you did 2 degrees?
So I did those two, and then I did a master degree in food management and food security, which was horrendous because I had to go to this
that's wild
factories, you know, to basically understand how they're producing our food, and I was shocked. I was like, you must be kidding me, like
this is still in Romania?
Yeah. I was like, we can't eat this.
Wow.
So I've been to this big factories of producing the most disgusting things there are in our supermarkets, where they put like literally bags of powders and additives and all sorts of nasty things, and I was like, I'm definitely not gonna sign for this crap to be on somebody's table, like no way. So I decided to go and work with my dad. It didn't work out. And after a very short period of time, I was desperate. I was like, that's it.
What were you doing with your dad?
He had like a transportation company. He was he was like doing all sorts of like trips and nationally and internationally.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God, this is not going to work. So one day I went home. I went online and I decided, it's like, okay, what can I do? I couldn't get work and travel for the States. I wanted to go to the States initially. I was like, I can't get work and travel because I'm not a student anymore. And then I was like, I don't even want to use my degrees to get a job. I really want to go somewhere and start from zero and actually get to know myself and what I can do, because I definitely didn't know what my power and what my resources are, because I was just like such a rebel, you know, and everybody was thinking that, or everybody was telling me what to do, kind of thing. My parents were telling me what to do, my friends were telling me what to do, and I was like, okay, but what do I want, and like, what do I want to do? So I knew Italian, I was fluent in Italian, I knew Spanish, but for whatever reason I just chose UK. I was like, I'm like, maybe I can improve my English. That would be good, handy. It would be a good thing in life. I was speaking this really broken American English, like horrendous, like Rihanna, Jay-Z kind of thing, like rap, like stuff like that. And I just found this program. It was 2013, which the only way it was to have this exchange thing when you come and you look after children, or like a kind of au pair nanny kind of thing. So anyways, this was on a Wednesday. I go online on this website, and then this Lebanese family replies straight away. She was like, "We need you now. Can we have a Zoom call or like a Skype thing?" I was like, "Can we have a Skype?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Okay, we really need you now." I was like, now. She was like, "As soon as you can get here." So the next day I bought my ticket, and then I flew here into the UK when I turned 27. Yeah, I didn't have any money. I didn't want to take any money from my parents. I had £200 in my pocket and a suitcase with essentials. And basically I started from zero with this feeling of trust. Yeah, I literally threw myself in this situation with no parachute. I was like, I'm just gonna jump, and I have to trust that I'm gonna land somehow. And from that point on, like a massive journey of self-discovery. Actually, it was this boot camp. So 7 years in the UK was proper boot camp for me, facing all my limitations, my it was the language barrier, because I wasn't speaking English at all. Like now, if I look back, I didn't even know how I had the courage to even try to make it here somehow. It was like so I had to learn English, and then I started from zero. I didn't have a work permit or anything like that, so I did everything from pizza delivery, cleaning toilets and cleaning houses, and working for British car auctions, actually working with cars. And they took me at the office. So at the office I started to just like work a lot on the computer, entering data and like doing customer service. And this is how I kind of like trained myself to understand different dialects and different accents in English, and like kind of get to know the language, because I was always interacting with people. But what I noticed really quickly was that what was helping me a lot, it was my personality rather than my knowledge. It wasn't necessarily my knowledge, it wasn't necessarily how good I was. I'm shit with mathematics, for example, and I always said to people, I'm like, if you are asking me to calculate things, it's not going to turn out really well. But I'm really good with people. So I'm definitely really good with people. And I came to London after like a year or two, and since then I lived in London. So I went.
So you went in somewhere else in the UK?
Yeah, I was in Surrey for a while. Yeah, and obviously I had a completely different lifestyle. In Romania, I had loads of money. My parents, they were quite solid. They're not necessarily wealthy, but they're like upper middle class to having quite enough money to, I don't know, I was doing my nails all the time, my hair, I was having amazing clothes, I was driving a fancy car, I was like, Romanian life, going on holidays and all these bits and bobs. I was living the dream.
I love it.
And then I came here doing pizza delivery. I didn't even have like a good place to buy clothes, but I didn't have the money to buy the clothes. I was being paid peanuts. Like peanuts.
And you had a degree as well, 2 degrees.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do. I could have converted them and like go for like higher jobs, but I was like, no, like I didn't have work experience, because I graduated, I worked for my dad for a couple of months, and I decided to go. So anyways, it would have been almost impossible for me to get a proper job, like a good job. It would have been an internship kind of thing, which didn't really make the difference by me getting a crappy job anyways, and anywhere, and just start learning slowly. So, but I knew that was part of my journey as well. Because that was massive refinement when it comes to what money is, what the value of the money is, what it means for me to receive money from my parents and just have this constant cash flow, that I was using all the time to self-validate to validate myself, or to get validated by other people. And I could see like parts of my ego thinking that somehow I'm better than the others, you know, or being really frustrated because I had more than the others, you know. There were many times when I wanted to like, let's go out for dinner, like let's go to this party, and then I could see people's frustration and limitation around money. So while I was doing it, I was making it easier for them, being a people pleaser, and actually pay for them. Yeah, so I had to learn all this money dynamics, yeah, how I people please, how I feel when I have money, when I don't have money, what money means to me, you know, what it takes. And it was a very, very beautiful journey because I ended up living in Knightsbridge, here in London, just by Harrods. Like literally I was looking the Harrods Tower in this gorgeous flat. And I had the opportunity to be in presence of, I don't know, Qatari royal family, let's say, or Stevie Wonder, or Sonic, or Lindsay Lohan, or Theo James from Divergent, or I don't know, Chelsea football team, or Manchester United, or Arsenal London, or stuff like that. Yeah? Because the place I was living in, I was sharing with a friend, and her boyfriend had this restaurant, and it was really famous around all these actors, music producers, like loads of them. So I was constantly going to that restaurant and constantly around the circles of super influential people, but it was all very dry and very sad, you know. And again,
wow, you saw it all.
so I could see the differences, the polarities of this world, you know, and to actually see what's the depth in here, you know. And it was very interesting, you know, to observe the luxury and you know, all this entitlement of like, who am I when I have money, and my frustration of like feeling really small and like not having enough. And I was like, you know, it's just like an average human being trying to, you know, to get my, and people were judging me also for what I had. So it was really difficult for me, but it was incredibly beautiful and powerful at the same time to hold my ground and not to buy into the illusion of this world, you know, with this like flashy, I've been to BAFTA movie awards kind of things, you know, like some people I was like hanging out with, they're like actresses and actors and stuff like that.
How did you like end up in Knightsbridge?
Well, my friend, you know, one of my best friends from uni, the one who sent me to the psychiatrist. She lived with her boyfriend at the time, and he was the one that had all this network. So what we were doing was like hanging out, me and her, in his restaurant, pretty much. So it was a very, 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 very interesting time. So to go from here to there and see these two worlds, you know. And so that was the moment when I decided that I can't be bought, you know. And also that was the moment when I decided that there's so much more than life than I thought, because there was a part of me that was looking for this need to make it in life, you know, like to be somewhere.
It's programming. I think a lot of us have that.
Absolutely. Oh my god. And especially me coming from an ex-communist country, you know, like really suppressed, oppressed, highly religious. Everything is a sin. There's no freedom to express in any way, shape or form. You know, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of like lack mentality and all this kind of thing. So for me, it was absolutely incredible, because my path and knowing my worth came through me having these experiences. And I'm so grateful, like so grateful. When I look back, it was like, wow, like the you know, source, the universe could not give me a bigger opportunity and
playground to learn.
You know. It was fantastic. So
London is London.
The illusion of London, you know, like, oh, I'm going to be in central, you know, and I had this thing, like, I'm in central London, you know, I was working in Mayfair at that time. I was working in Mayfair, living in Knightsbridge, mingling around all these kind of people. I was like, okay, wow, this is stunning, you know, it's just like this beautiful place full of opportunities. I was dreaming that I'm going to, you know, become somewhere huge and someone huge, and I'm going to, like, accomplish things, and then something was off. Something was really off, and
The
I was
energy is off.
like, the energy is off. But inside of me, I was like, I don't really want this stuff.
Yes.
So again, see
Yes.
that moment of honesty. I had to be honest,
Yeah.
and really honest. And like, I don't want this stuff. I don't want the money. I don't want the fame. I just want to live. I just wanted to live, you know, and enjoy life, and then just be happy. Not using substances, you know, not drinking or taking drugs or any of these things, you know. It's like, it must be somewhere more to life. And I was like really craving for human connection, to be honest, because it was very,
in that world is
yeah, it was very it was this feeling of separation, you know.
Yeah.
It was always competition as well.
Yeah.
Such a big competitive scene.
Yeah. And sometimes I find it can be quite hard to just have like a real conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so superficial. So superficial. It's like, so my best friends, they were books, you know, and internet and stuff like that.
They were what?
Books. Like, I was reading a lot.
Oh, your best friends were books.
Yeah, when I wasn't with people, I was just like reading. But at the same time, it was very beautiful to observe myself while I was interacting with the people, yeah, and actually doing my processing, which is part of who I am and what I do now. I rarely meditate now. I don't, obviously I like to just be still, yeah, but it's not this like I have to or there's a need to, yeah. It's just like, I just want to still myself for a moment, just for the sake of stillness. But my biggest realizations are actually happening in interactions and in observation and in the times of active observation, yeah. So I always observe. I'm always like alert in a way, but it's not overwhelming. It's just, I think I developed this ability and this capacity to keep my awareness always sharp.
I think that's what I was going to mention. It's like the thing about what you're describing, it sounds like for you the lessons are in life. It's very much, I'm learning as I'm going here, what's happening. Yes,
because I've been on this path where I discovered Tibetan Buddhism at some point, yeah. So I found this beautiful sense in London. I was like, okay, I need to go deeper into spirituality. By that point, I was like, all right, like, I have to go for it, yeah.
Yes, let's see what's
happening. So I started to do this like silent meditation thing. Boom, 7 days, noble silence. Boom. And doing my mantras and going every week, doing my chanting thingy and all this. But it was never like, I looked into, you name whatever you want, like, think about it, like gene keys, human design, astrology, I Ching, Tibetan Buddhism, shamanism. I've done all of them, yeah. Energy healing, massage, reflexology, neuroplasticity. I had a course of neuroplasticity with a lady in Chelsea, literally reprogramming my brain, yeah. I was looking into the biology of belief when nobody knew about it. Bruce Lipton, he was like, what are you talking about? I was obsessed with epigenetics. I was trying to explain to people, you know, how can we change things, but nobody was like on the same page with me. So I've done all these things, but for whatever reason I wasn't sticking. Like, I couldn't stick to anything. It was always this thing. It's like, there's more, there is more, you know. It's like, and it felt like, to me, it felt like it was against something that I needed to do. You know, I needed to sit down, and I needed to do my mantras, because if I don't do my mantras, then karma is going to bite my ass. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, wow, there's a loss of power in that, you know. It's like, if I'm gonna believe that if I'm not doing my mantras, then karma is gonna take over me, you know. It's like, why do I have to keep doing things to kind of improve my life? Is it through this kind of actions? Is this the truth? So
it's this never-ending spiral.
Exactly, it's like this never-ending spiral of like needing to do things and needing to learn things. And also with the healing thing, gosh, there's no end to it. Because if it's not my traumas from this lifetime, then it's going to be another thousands, millions of lifetimes, plus my ancestors, my parents, and my grand, you know, and then maybe my cosmic roots from God knows what star system I came from. I was like,
where does it stop?
Where does it stop?
Where does it stop?
Yeah.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
Exactly. So I started to just go everywhere. Yeah, it was this thing in me, and it was like frustrating. It was like searching. It was really frustrating because everybody I met then, basically from this like really shallow, you know, society, I went into this like deeply spiritual practitioners, like 5 years into Tibetan Buddhism, like 10 years of shamanism, drinking shitloads of plant medicine, you know, like I'm coming with my shikapa and I'm gonna exercise you and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And in my being, I was like, oh my God, like I'm so behind. This is the only idea that was like, I know nothing.
These guys
are amazing, and I'm like behind, and like holy shit, I need to take a decision and follow that path. So now I went in this like spiral of finding my path. What do I want to do? So I studied Tibetan Buddhism, then I went to Bali and I discovered Hinduism. I was like, oh my God, this sounds cooler, you know, like kirtan thing, you know, Lakshmi. I was like, oh my God, this sounds fun, you know, like I don't have to see like this in being boring, you know, I can do this thing.
Oh my God, I love it.
But then there were like too many gods, and I was like, okay, there's Lakshmi, there's Saraswati, and this and that, and they had the battles, you know, and Ramanahana, and I was like, Jesus Christ, you know, and I was obsessed with Jesus because Jesus let me down, you know, and my religion is Christian, Orthodox.
Yeah.
So when I had the boyfriend thing, before that, I thought I'm really good friends with God. I considered my friend, my best friend was God, yeah. And then shit happened, and I was like, okay, you're an asshole now. You know, you're like, I don't like you anymore. So I broke my connection with God, because I thought that he let me down.
Yeah.
And oh my God, this is so deep. This stuff, like this is super deep. But this is for another podcast. This is so deep. Anyway, so I was like,
connection with God.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's some sort of program in there. It's one of these like really juicy subjects. And when I found these guys in Hinduism, I was like, oh my God, these are really cool. You know, like these are cool. You can sing, you can dance to them. You can have like a party with them. It's like I'm taking this route now. And Jesus is an asshole, anyways. You know, he wasn't supporting me when I needed him the most. You know. And obviously I didn't stick with Hinduism either. It just didn't work out. And I was like, okay, that's it, shamanism. Shamanism knows it all.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I have power animals, spirits all over me, inside me, outside me. I was like, that's it, this is the way. Boom. And then obviously that's a bottomless pit as well. It never ends. And it's like, well, who has the truth? I was like, well, who has the truth? Everybody thinks that they have the truth,
Yes.
But where is my truth? Is there a truth that's mine?
Yes.
There's a universal truth. Where is it?
And everyone's going around spreading their truth.
Yes. And then there's also this constant thing I could see in people to try to get you on their side.
Yes.
You know,
constant.
Oh, come here. Shamanism is the best, or shamanism is the most amazing. And then the other one's like, oh, you know, but like our teachings in whatever, and my lineage is the best in the world, you know, bomb. And I was like, yo, how do I know? How do you know? Somebody told you, yeah? You had teachers and masters and stuff like that, and like also this hierarchical thing, you know, with like teachers and masters and guru. And I'm like, yo, why the hell I'm not Saint Georgie, you know, like, hello, I want to self-proclaim myself, you know, that's it. I'm self-proclaiming Saint Georgie, and I want loads of people to come around me, just me to speak to them and spark their consciousness, and everybody around me is going to cook for me, and I'm going to tell them exactly what to do and how to live their life, and I'm going to speak a lot of nonsense, and actually I'm not giving any answer to anybody because a true master actually allows you to find your own truth, but well, you know, is that the right thing or not? You know, I was like, it's too much. And I was like, you know what, like, that's it, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. And guess what happened? Lockdown came. So this was the whole...
Wow. I was going to say, this brings us to like now.
Yeah, this happened like throughout the years, you know, like going here and there and like trying different things. But one very important aspect...
And then the lockdown hit.
Very important aspect, before the lockdown, there's one thing I did right. I mean, like, everything was right. Absolutely everything was amazing. It was on point. But one thing that actually changed my life was my mind-body connection. Yeah. So before anything else...
What do you mean?
Where I found my true liberation was within my body, for whatever reason. Not for whatever reason. Actually, what happened?
I was gonna say, what happened?
Okay, so it was my traumas. My traumas that generated emotional eating. I was like food. Actually, you know, I didn't have the other addictions like alcohol, cigarettes, and stuff, but I was food addict. So I had hormonal imbalances. I was sick. Nobody was able to fix me. I had all sorts of like literally serious health issues.
This is from when?
This started to happen when I was 12. So it was a long journey of also healing myself physically during this whole time. So it was even harder for me because I had to deal with reality and also with the outside world, but also I had to deal with my inside world, including my physical body, which was not cooperating. So I was on a journey of self-healing because obviously medicine and biology, even though I studied it, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. You know, like what I've learned in nutrition class, it didn't make much sense to me. Like, eat carbs because, you know, eat carbs is going to give you energy. I was like, that's really bad. You know, like 80% of my energy, our energy, is used by the digestive system, and you're giving me like heavy fats, proteins, and carbs to produce energy that's going to consume my energy. It doesn't make any sense, you know. So I had to go on like a really deep route of self-healing through natural ways, like just natural ways. And because of me not feeling well, it kind of forced me to pay attention to my body. I liked it or not, I had to pay attention to my body. So that was what I was eating, how I was feeling, and I could see these patterns, you know, like how everything that I was doing, including drinking water, sleeping, the way I was moving, and everything I was eating, it was literally generating biochemical havoc or biochemical peace and rest in my body. So I was like, that's really interesting. And then I just realized that some foods I was eating, they had almost the same effect on me as a drug. Let's say cheese will have the same effect as a line of cocaine, you know. It was giving me this high and this addiction. It was like, keep going back to it. So it was this journey of getting my power back.
This is big as well because it's all conditioning. You just eat and you don't think about what you're eating, and then you start to realize how it affects you.
Yes. And I was like, wow, why I can't control my habits, my eating habits, you know? Why is it so deep? It was so deep. I was like, wow, I can't believe that I have zero power over my own body. I was like, I was inhabiting this machinery, this like super intelligent technology, and I had no idea how to run the show. You know, it's like the chemistry of my body was running the show instead of my consciousness running the show. And I was like, wow. So I was judging all these people, they're like lost in their addictions, but I was as lost in my addiction, which was food. So the only absolutely incredible thing I've done in the last couple of years was really fine-tuning what I'm actually putting in my body, how I'm treating my body, how I'm loving my body. I used to hate myself. I didn't like myself. I couldn't look in the mirror. I didn't like my body, and on top of that, I wasn't healthy. And I was like, wow, and how do I do this? Yeah, so because my desire of feeling well and healthy was stronger than all the the obstacles, because especially my friends are like, oh, let's have a glass of wine, oh, let's have this pizza, but what I've learned was my personal power, like literally my willpower, it came to me, for me personally, in this journey of healing my body. Because if I would not have the courage and the strength to say no to things, I would never ended up healing myself. It would have been impossible, because I was giving my power to people and situations, and having the pizza and going out and having the drink and all this kind of stuff.
So easy to do.
It's so easy to do, especially because I needed the drink to loosen up and have fun, because that was the conditioning.
Yeah,
you drink,
the conditioning.
You feel good,
Yeah.
and basically you don't really know who you are, what you're doing, and everybody's doing the same. And if you're not doing the same, then you're not cool, and people are going to feel uncomfortable. Like then you notice this thing that nobody is actually when you say like, sorry, I'm not eating sugar, or like, sorry, I don't drink coffee, or, oh, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, literally.
Why are you not drinking? I'm like, oh my god,
Are you okay? Well, you were
are you
alcoholic.
okay? It's like, what? Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, so it's a bad thing not to drink, or not to eat something that's not really healthy, or see the conditioning is backwards.
Yeah, it's
but
backwards.
Look at the world, like everybody gets together around drinking environments and parties and clubs and all this kind of, like, now is not as it used to be. Back in the days when I was having this journey, it was like 100% like that. Now there are beautiful places where people, they get together, actually have proper conversations, but back in the days this wasn't happening. It was something unheard of. It was very rare.
I saw this quote the other day, I was just remembering it now. It was something like, when I realised that I started to be really healthy, looking after myself, loving myself, but everyone started to like shame me and like inevitably, and then he's like, that's when I realised that we're living in a death cult.
Yeah, absolutely. We are living in a death cult. But look, and like, it's so distorted. Yeah, it's so distorted. I was looking at the menu. Like, I had a menu yesterday. Somebody was presenting me some CBD cocktails. Check this out. Yeah, and this is next level. Boom, boom. This is new biohacking. Like, these guys, like, they do biohacking things, and like, they are trying to find the healthiest things from shit things. Yeah. So it's this CBD cocktail menu, and then the name was Sex on the Beach. Yeah. Sexy, blah blah blah, bloody martini. Look at how deep, is this sexual distortion. Yeah. That's happening in the world. Yeah, it's so deep. Like, and I keep saying about this, how conditioned we are. Yeah, not only to the things that we need, our basic needs, but also our sexuality is so distorted. Yeah, so distorted and so manipulated, and it's all the crap. It's normalized. As an example, like it didn't even click to me, like this relationship in between alcohol and sex. People, they get together, they drink, and they have sex. Bang, bang. And then the next day I'm like, oh, who are you, or kind of thing. I'm like, how unconscious that is. When so it's true. The biggest power in the universe. It's the creative force, and then it's so distorted. The other day in Berkeley Square, is this woman, body, naked, sitting like that on a very sexy position with a rabbit head. And I was like, come on, guys. It's like in our face. Always. The normalization of the sexual distortion is in our freaking face. It's everywhere. And all our pain body is triggered, guess what, in relationship with basic needs and relationship with sexual desires. And what I've learned before actually getting to this point where I'm now is this connection with the mind body. It saved me. Like to me, I could forget about meditation, I could forget about any practices. Like, the best practice for me is literally getting to know my body, because this tool here is the most powerful thing. First of all, this is the vessel in which consciousness lives. Yeah, the consciousness. What is it? You know, it is in my body. Yeah, and then it's so intelligent that to me now I don't even need to think about things. The body is going to answer. It knows when I have to sleep, how much I have to sleep, what's my rhythm, how much do I have to eat, when I have to eat, what choices I have to make, I should make in life. The body gives me the answer to that.
Dude, this is...
It's like the best compass ever. It's like absolutely 100% accurate. If I meet a person and my body like crunches like this, I'm like, yo, you know, with all my love, there's no separation, but the energetics of it is like, this is not for me. Or let's say I have to go to a place and my body's like, oh, I don't like it there. There's a reason. And I listen. So I listen, and because of this practice of knowing my body, healing my body, and like all the diseases I had, and all like this food addiction and stuff like that, when the lockdown came, I was in another period of intense search. Again, I was like doing 100,000 million courses online, tantra thing, manifestation, crazy things, you know, like 21 days for blah blah blah, rewiring your DNA, whatever, you know, all this crap. And then I had like piles of books which we're going to burn in a minute.
Yes, love this.
So I had this piles of books, like so many books, and I was like, oh my god, like I need to know stuff, I need to know. And I was mega inspired to hire a coach from Amsterdam. She's incredible. And when we had our first interaction, in our first meeting, she was like, my invitation is for you to stop everything. And I was like, what? It's like, stop everything. I was like, how can I stop everything? I've got £4,000 in courses and another £3,000 in books, and not enough time to read all this information and get to know what. I don't even know what I was looking for. I was looking for a truth, and I was looking for myself, kind of thing, still. And I thought I found myself so many times, but it was still lots to uncover. And she was like, where is your wisdom? You are part of the one unified creator, you know, like you are part of the creation, you are part of the source. You are an expression of the source. Isn't that true? I was like, yeah, it is true, you know. And do you have the wisdom? Like, can you see how you have the potential? And I was like, yeah, but I'm not good enough. You know, I'm not good enough. Like, everybody knows better than me, you know, they have these careers and specialization in this and in that, and I was never able to stick to somebody, you know. I felt really incomplete. It was this feeling of absolute incompletion. So she was like, just stop and see what happens. So that moment, that day, after that coaching session, I said, like, you know what, but it wasn't even lockdown. I'm just gonna trust and surrender. If there's one thing I wasn't able to do until that point, is actually to fully surrender. I was good at trust, getting even better, you know, getting better with trust, but I wasn't surrendering.
I feel over the years, I find through my relationship with surrender, it just gets deeper and deeper.
Yes, I was going against the tide, you know. I was like trying to do things and not be, and all the other bits, you know. And I thought, like, okay, I'm just like meditating, but I was meditating for a reason. I was meditating to get, you know, to be peaceful and to sync my hemispheres, to lower my cortisol and go, you know. But I was happy at the same time, but was still seeking, you know. I had the happiness, and by that point I was loving myself and I was really happy with myself, but I was still hungry for more. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna set this super strong intention to just connect with the source and with this infinite wisdom, that if it's not inside of me, then I will trust and I will surrender, that will come to me. And then the lockdown came. And when the lockdown came, because I could see my patterns, still trying to do things, still trying to run around and keep myself busy with other stuff, not books and courses, but other things. And the lockdown came. So guess what? I had no other place to go.
Yeah, it's moment.
Nowhere to be.
For everyone to. Yeah.
And I had to sit. And I didn't necessarily sit aside meditation. I was having days when I was waking up, going on my rooftop, sitting in the sun, having a cup of tea.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the sun. I just love the sun. The sun is my best friend, it's my lover, it's my absolute supreme lover. So I was having this love relationship with the sun, just going and speaking to the sun and singing to the sun, like, oh God, it was so good. And I noticed that because the whole lockdown period, we had very sunny days, which was very unusual. This never happened before.
I know, it's true.
And I started to ask myself questions. I found this really interesting. So I was just like sitting there and just like sometimes dancing, sometimes, most of the days I was actually waking up and moving my body, yeah. And then I started to receive information, yeah. So I started to have all sorts of ideas.
Keep the channel open.
And I was like, whoa, and I started to have really intense dreams.
Wow.
And a lot of information was coming, I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, this is crazy. And I thought I'm losing my mind again and again and again and again. But again, I remembered my vow. Devotion to myself was like my mind-body connection. I see it as a devotion to myself. Yeah, I was always devoted to myself. Therefore, I was able to heal my body. Yeah, and the other, parallel journey that was now was this surrendering, because the trust was already there. Even if I could feel that I could have even increased that muscle, practice even more to be even more in trust. But then the thing that I wasn't doing, I wasn't surrendering. So I was like, okay, I just need to surrender. I just need to surrender and forget about everything I thought I knew and how life should look like. And this is something massive that's happening, yeah. And before the lockdown in December 2019, I had this feeling, I was tapping into this energy of 2020. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like a year where I have to go against all my fears. I could feel it, and I never imagined the whole thing is going to be a pandemic, and it's going to take over the world, and it's going to force everybody in silence and in stillness and all these things. Like I was asking for a break, I was asking for some sort of like slowing down, and I never imagined it's going to come in this way, shape or form. And when I saw the magnitude of everything that was happening, I was like, okay. And that fear I was tapping into, it was deeply collective, yeah?
Yes.
A lot of fear that started to just bubble. And I was like, whoa, this is big. So here we are, months after this pandemic.
Yes.
And now I feel that it is literally the ultimate training, yeah? Because for me, it was constantly about surrendering to the unknown, about surrendering and trusting the information I was receiving, yeah, and I was absolutely amazed to witness this process of realization through direct cognition, yeah, and trust that what I'm receiving is actually the right thing. It's the right thing for me, at least, it's the truth that I was always looking for.
So what is that? What did you do with it? How did that,
So I had to sit with it because it was so massive, and it was very hard for me, first of all, to put it in English. Yeah, it's like I didn't have the English language for it, so I started to question death. Yeah. And especially like doing shamanic work and like doing this shadow work and healing work and all this, I could see these patterns in people coming back, and constantly healing themselves and going up and down, and I could see a lot of patterns that happened with the weather and then the seasons and cycles and rhythms, and I just questioned everything. And somehow I was receiving information related to my questioning. And I was really amazed. I was absolutely stunned, like stunned. And it took me a while to like fully trust that what I was receiving was actually the truth, and it was my truth. And it was something that it was beyond any of my previous experiences, in the sense that it was just this deep connection with the source, and it felt like I don't have to, and I don't need to go anywhere else in between me and the source.
Finally.
So nothing else mattered, There was no need for my tantric pursuits. There was no need for learning this system or that system, or getting to know myself through that way. There were beautiful tools, up to a point, but then there was still me giving my power away, waiting for some astrology chart to tell me what I need to do and what I need to do it, or buying into this like new moon, full moon, planetary movements. It's such deep programming that's happening. If I'm listening to somebody that's like, oh, there's Mercury retrograde right now, as I think, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling it is. It's astrology wise, is my ruling planet, and I'm doing a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Can you see? Otherwise, other people are like, oh, it's not the time for a podcast now. I have to wait for this to finish. Like, all these limitations, all this like, and of course, there's no flow in that. There's no possible like flow, if there's always these limitations that are coming from all sorts of systems and stuff like that. But what I uncovered is much deeper, and that's like probably a subject for a whole podcast, because it is huge, it's massive. But the trust and the surrender and this devotion that solidified and is like I'm embodying it now, it came from this direct connection with the source that kind of eliminated everything else in between. So I don't need a specific practice, I don't need a specific you call him a philosophy, or a specific guru, master, or teacher to tell me what to do and how I need to do it. If I'm communicating with the source, if I made myself a vessel for the divine consciousness, like there's no need for anything else. But to be able to do that, guess what is needed? The trust and the surrender. And that comes through the constant refinement process that happens over the years, but the work needs to be done. It is not coming from me, listening to others. It's coming from me to listen to others and questioning everything, including myself. Always question everyone and everything, and always refining. And the more I went through this refinement process, the trust was stronger, and the surrender came stronger. And now in this moment of my evolution, what I'm about to do is huge, and 99% of the people around me don't get it. And I'm walking alone. It's a path of like I'm walking alone, but because I trust myself so much, and because I know that I'm in direct connection with the source, then the surrender to my path is 100% happening and is there. And that's all I need to know. Do I need to know what's going to happen tomorrow? No. Do I need to know what's going to happen in a month time? No. So there's this stillness, and all the stillness that people are looking for, and this 0 point, this neutrality, it happens when I'm in connection with the source. So if I know that that's it, I'm here, I'm now, then there's this 0 point, there's this nothingness. And from here, guess what? I can create everything. The manifestation process happens from this 0 point. So this is what I was looking for, and what I'm going to manifest from here is obviously going to be aligned with my absolute supreme purpose, and from the absolute truth that I know to be true.
Yeah, and it's coming out.
And it's coming out. That's gonna be the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put the your Instagram in the notes so people can find you.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel like it ends on such a cliffhanger. You know?
Yeah.
But it's huge. It's amazing story. Like, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. I've been like on loads of tangents, but I think it's very beautiful to understand this multidimensionality. You know, like this multidimensional aspect of life. Yeah, it's not one straight line.
No,
for me, at least, it wasn't a straight line.
Really
everything is like it's like
really
a matrix of information and situations and things that happen and people and emotions and all this kind of stuff and situations, but everything is kind of like condensed, you know, in this like one point. That's my frequency. My frequency is made of all those things, but it's just one point and it's stable. So what I uncovered and what I'm like really proud and grateful that I got to this point when I know that my frequency is stable. So I'm not the slave of external whatever happens, including my emotions, including the biology of my body. Like, in my journey, I just noticed that the biochemistry of my body was dictating my emotions.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's like a really interesting thing. So in this like absolute point of stillness and nothingness, then everything is just how it's supposed to be. It's perfect. Everything is just in perfect alignment.
Yeah, I think that place that you're describing is like this world is so many. It really teaches us to look outside. It's actually really difficult to just find that stillness.
What happens if we look inside? Look what happened when I looked inside. Yeah, and it was massive for me because obviously I had teachers and masters as well, and I was looking so, I was revering them so much, like, oh my god, the enlightened master, I don't know who, and then my meditation teacher, and it was this thing in me thinking that I'll never be like that, and it was this desire, the want to be, like that, but also it was the belief that it's hard, and it requires a lot of work and then a lot of experience, and then you have to have a specific consciousness, and I knew about this like infinite possibility that lies, but like I had to go in and allow myself to surrender to, what could happen, what would happen if I would actually, for a second, I would just drop this idea that I have to be somewhere else, or I have to go somewhere, or I have to do something, or I have to be better, and I would just sit.
And then you become the master.
Pretty much, yeah, because I'm not giving my power away, to any system, any teacher, any nothing. And what I'm doing, I'm experimenting, through direct experience of life, all my dynamics, my friendships, all my relationships, everything in my work environment, in my, recreational time, every single time with myself, I observe myself, I interact with myself all the time. I notice what I'm doing, how I'm reacting, how is my body, how is energy, how everything changes all the time. Who is the best teacher if not myself? Can somebody tell me what's happening in my body? Can somebody else tell me what's happening in my mind? What's going on inside of me? No. So if I don't know myself and I'm not in full connectivity, in full connection, like perfectly merging with myself, how can I trust somebody else if I can't trust myself? Including a guru, including a master.
So I just wanted to backtrack a bit as well. Just through that relationship that you said that was really traumatic, what advice can you give to anyone who's going through something similar? Like,
actually, I had a conversation with one of my very good friends. He's a beautiful human being, and he was in a relationship very similar to mine. And he's my age now. He's in his 30s, and he never actually thought he would end up with with somebody like that, with a narcissist.
That's usually what you never think you will.
Exactly, it just happened. He met with this girl, and everything was like really beautiful for a couple of months, and she was like really confident, typical narcissist behavior, and then everything went down. So I told him, do not wait for things to get really difficult and dragging, and trying to save it, trying to fix it, trying to do anything about it, because I understand that there are a lot of things playing out, this victim mode, this survival, savior. There are all these archetypes, yeah. So people are like, yeah, but I need to support them, and it's radical honesty. Like, be honest with yourself. That's why I would say, be really, really honest. Is this relationship really serving you? Like, is it really serving you? Do you have to go through all this suffering, yeah? Through all this, like literally walking on a bombed battlefield, just to learn something? I learned a lot about relationship being single for 7 years.
Same. Me too.
I learned a lot, yeah? The energy doesn't lie. You can interact with anybody energetically and in different dynamics, yeah? That doesn't have to be a physical relationship.
But I guess it's your choice, realizing that.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you do need to go.
Yeah, maybe. And I always say, people, go into a relationship, explore it for a while, but when you see the red flags, get out. Don't wait. You're gonna drown.
Oh no.
If I would have listened to the sea, and to the waves, I'll be like, no, it's too dangerous. I should just like keep myself, a little bit like closer to the shore. There's discernment is key. We had this conversation. Remember when we had the conversation? Discernment is key.
Yes. Yeah.
Discernment means this like really like serious honesty. Like, is this serving me? If you're like, and then again, all these things with like mirroring. Oh yeah, but mirror. Everybody's a mirror. Ourselves, where I'm a mirror to myself as well. Again, am I giving my power again to somebody outside of me to mirror some shit? No. If I'm really discerning, and if I really want to see the truth in me, I don't really need to be in a relationship for me to understand I have an attachment issue or an abandonment problem or a rejection wound or whatever, yeah? If it comes up, go and freaking fix it.
Yeah.
And start again. Go and fix it and start again. There's no need to stay in the suffering, and that works for everything.
I love that.
Every single thing. There's no need for suffering. This is a bullshit concept, yeah. And people are looping in this constant, running around and like, oh, I need to heal myself and like suffering. Like they're another addiction, another distortion, another addiction to drama, and another need to this deep wounding there, like the victimhood and all this kind of stuff. But there's no need for suffering anymore. That's why.
Yeah. I think again, it takes a level of awareness to be able to see that, to realize that you have the choice.
Yeah, you have the choice.
I don't actually have to.
That's sovereignty. That is sovereignty.
Yeah.
But in general, what I'm noticing at the moment, people are really afraid to be sovereign.
Because
that means taking all the power back. Yeah. That means there's nothing to cling to. There's no system, there's no schooling, there's no one aside of us. There's no boyfriend or girlfriend or mother or father or anything, It's like, oh my God, like nobody has a responsibility but ourselves. The responsibility is 100% mine if I take my power back. And that means that everything I do, everything I am, everything I say is my responsibility.
Yes.
And people don't want to have this responsibility because it's easier to blame. Yeah, it's easy to blame the wound. Oh, but I'm traumatized. Oh gosh, we're all traumatized. Yeah. But do you want to live happy? Like all these things. There's no need for. I have like friends, they're like going through the same thing again and again and again and again, unresolved situations. Yeah, it's a choice. When I decided I want to be happy, I became happy. I did everything I could to be happy. When I decided to be healthy, it didn't happen overnight. I didn't become happy like overnight. I didn't become healthy overnight. It was years, yeah?
Yeah.
But that devotion I was saying, I'm devoted to myself. I'm devoted to my well-being. If I'm devoted to my well-being and somebody comes and throws something at me, I know that's not about myself. And I'll be like, no, I can't even bother to get upset about it. It's fine. It's okay. If it's aggressive and stuff, obviously I'm going to defend myself. But for like little things in life, like, oh, you did this to me. Again, giving your power away. If you're an asshole, it's not my fault you're an asshole. It's your fault. Why would I get upset?
Yes. Actually, I remember I was dating this guy from Tibet once, and we were talking about getting angry about something, and he just was so calm in his reaction to something I can't remember, and I was just like, that's crazy. And then I remember him just saying to me, why would I get angry at him? That would be wasting my energy.
It happened to me last week. I was in this beautiful music environment, with my musician friends, like having this like gig. It was beautiful, and I was just massaging one of my friends, and then a lady came, and she was totally ungrounded. So this is not a judgment, this is an observation. She was all over the shop, like moving around and like really like taking a lot of space and all this, like really ungrounded. And came and she's like, oh, hey guys, how did you feel? How are you feeling? How was the event? And I was like, oh, it was beautiful. And how was it for you? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? And she was like, oh, sorry, I need to go. I was like, all right, I was really calm. And she was like, I have to say this. I have to speak my truth. And I have to say this. You're fake. I was like, what? She was like, you were fake. Like the way you said like, oh yeah, you too, sweetie, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like if this, I couldn't even be bothered to explain myself or explain to her anything. I was like, all right, thank you for
love that.
Thanks for telling me. And my friend, he turned around, he was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, because it was his event. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was like, babe, just chill, like there's no problem. She's like, yeah, but she was really rude. I was like, there's no problem, it's her perception. Imagine the amount of suffering that's happening in her and her inability. Because when I'm really nice, I'm very much in my child. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? But that's the liberation. That's feeling free and like really like authentic. And like with myself, sometimes I sound childish,
and it can be too much for some people,
but I don't give a shit.
No, I know, but it's true, it triggers people.
Oh yeah, I know, but like I don't like before, because otherwise the conditioning will say, yeah, but when you say, hey, hello, how are you doing, I should have this attitude. And sometimes like, hey sweetie, how was your day, like this kind of thing. And also again, like they get triggered because they want to be that, or they would like to do the same, and they can't do it, they can't understand it. It's somehow in their shadow.
It takes a muscle to be non-judgmental.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, it's fine, and it didn't even take me out of my center. And I could recognize how difficult it is for her to walk in this life, believing that everybody or like other people are fake, and imagine the wounding that's there, that actually made her say that, because usually when you find somebody is fake, what do? You remove yourself from the situation. But again, see all this new age spirituality bullshit that she learned, that says like, I have to speak my truth now, this is not in line with my like inner blah blah blah. And I was like, mate, that's not how you do it.
I love it when people express their like opinions as if you're supposed to care. You know what I mean? It's like, cool. You're supposed to be like, oh my god.
Because that's the charge that wants to be expressed to create more charge.
It's just drama.
But if you're neutral, like there's no charge. She expressed her charge, and I was like, fine.
I know, it's so funny.
So
other question I was going to ask you is why I feel like your journey, it sounds like it's been you said before, like such an explorer. And then it's like, but for you, I feel like this whole thing of being able to be free has been really important, and I wanted to ask you why have you always felt that?
Because I had a lot of conditioning. So I was born in a ex-communist country, under a religious, deeply orthodox, religious system. Everything, it was shame. there was a lot of lack mentality around. My parents, they wanted to make it in life, so they wanted to be someone and somewhere and like make money and all this kind of stuff. And the focus was on the outside. Yeah, it was always on the outside. And I always felt that all my upbringing and my first 27 years of my life, I was supposed to be doing things or being in a way that the society or the religion or the schooling or my family was telling me to do. And I just became obsessed with what liberation actually is.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was this deep feeling inside of me. I was like, I really need to get to the bottom of this, what it actually means to be liberated and to be free. And I always had this desire of freedom, absolute freedom. What does freedom means, you know, including my fear of camera. Like, look, you know, the story, you know, like I'm just afraid of cameras, and here I am now, because this was my last fear for 2020, you know, like literally my last fear for 2020. And I was like, okay, so if I do it, what is going to happen now? I'm going to feel liberated because I've done it. I've done it, you know, and it was really important for me to get to this point where I can express myself, where I can trust myself, where I know my purpose, you know, and go for my purpose in absolute love and compassion for everything.
So what does freedom mean to you?
Oh my God, it's so complex.
It's huge, isn't it?
It's huge.
It's quite a hard one. That's quite a hard one.
I feel that freedom for me is to know who I am, to trust that I am that, and to allow myself to constantly edit who I am.
Oof. Ooh, love that. I specifically the last one, because it's like we're constantly changing and morphing, and there's this whole thing about like being contradiction.
Yeah.
But it's like
So it's always being in my truth and in my fullest expression, and no matter what happens, whatever I believe to be true now, it can change in a split of a second.
But that's also such a skill.
And edit, so it's a path of non-attachment as well.
Yes.
Like it's like a constant stream. It's like a river. It's like a river that flows and loves everything but doesn't attach to nothing. There's no attachment. There's no attachment to who I should be or should like what happened and this and that, blah blah blah, all these things. There's no attachment, and my life is so freaking easy. I'm telling you, like my life is so easy because of this capacity that I developed to just flow, and in the moment, whatever comes, whatever arises, then that's the moment when I'll take the decision. Not
like
before,
water.
Not after, like water.
Back to the water.
Like back to the water, yeah, my favorite thing.
I love that. Cool, I think this is a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Do you have anything else that you want to add? Just like final words?
Well, probably it's going to be another podcast because I've got loads to share, but...
Well, there you go.
I think I will leave it with this little nuggets that are like actually huge. And instead of bringing more information, we'll let this sink. Whoever's going to listen will allow this to sink and see what happens for them.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the catalyst to break through my camera fear. Camera phobia.
No, watch this space.
Watch the space.
Love it. Amazing. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I'm sure everybody else will. Thank you so much.